one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Do we have anybody here for public comment? All right, hearing none. We have minutes from December 2nd to approve 2019. Do we have a motion to approve? Oh, roll call. I forgot roll call.
December 16th, 2019, Howie Reynolds.
Here.
Tim Sharota.
Here.
Frank Boggs.
Here.
Ron Dunwoody.
Here.
Scott McClory.
Here.
Tom Myrene.
Here.
Carol Young.
All right, do we have a motion to approve the minutes from December 2nd, 2019?
I'll make that motion.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Next we have bills payable for $1,965,961.14. Do we have a motion to approve?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any questions on them? Roll call, please.
Ron Dunwoody.
Yes.
Tim Sharota.
Yes.
Carol Young.
Yes.
Tom Myrene.
Yes.
Scott McClory.
Yes.
Frank Boggs.
Yes.
Under the mayor's report, I just have a couple things. Mark Gasicki, did I say it right? Gajewski is here. Under a new business, I'm going to just move it up so he doesn't have to. It says request from American Legion to place a Sherman tank in Veterans Park. It's really not a request because it's actually up to the county. But he was gracious enough that he wanted to come here and show us the pictures of it and if we had any questions. So just, I'm going to move that up on the agenda. So just remember, it's not a request. He's just trying to be a good neighbor. So, did everybody see the pictures that he passed around? Do you want to say a few words, or?
Yes, we went to the county parks and recs. It is a county park. What's happening is the post up in Whitewater is selling their building and the land that's there, and it can't sell on private property. There are other American Legion folks that have said that they would be interested in it. We were the first, and so it's up to us to lose it. So we're going through, talking with the county, and again, a good neighbor. And I'm not army. I'd rather have a ticket that you maybe up a treetop, but that's not happening. It's a patent tank. It was our main tank after World War II. It didn't see a lot of service. It was more of a tank that was piece through deterrence. A lot of our allies used that tank. Desert Storm, that tank, was in front of the Abrams, and the Abrams did a great job. But it was that show of force. And so we're looking at that just like they did up at Whitewater, use it as a memorial to all of our veterans. And we couldn't think of a better place to put it than at Veteran Park. We're looking at the area, as you're looking at the park right now, to the left of where the War Memorial is. And you've all seen that. There's an opening in the trees, because we're not taking down any trees or outside of the roots. And it's going to be a memorial to all of our veterans, much as it was up at Whitewater. Again, we're trying to find a home for it. We hate to lose it out of this county. The folks on the Delavan were on that list, and then the folks outside of our county, and then we lose it. But it has to stay within the service organizations. It can't be private property in any one person. We are incurring all costs. Our American Legion post, your American Legion post here in town, we just celebrated 100 years, and I don't see us going anywhere. Once it's in place, we're going to paint it, sandblast it, make it clean again, keep it that way. It'll be memorial. I hope that not only the city can enjoy it, but the county as well. Questions on this?
I noticed the guns in front of the American Legion in Delavan this summer. They sandblasted those and painted them, made them look good again.
Well, that's what we hope to do.
Yeah.
It's a tank. It's not rusting, but
Right.
it's been in the weather for a while.
But everybody thought it'd be a good idea if they just come tonight, because if not everybody knows about it. I say it's really not our decision, but if a constituent comes up to you and says, I don't want you to look, not know what's going on, and because it's not our decision to say, oh, I know nothing about a tank going in the park. So that was the main objective of tonight. But if you have questions, you're welcome to ask Mark.
Well, I don't have any questions, but Mark, I am one of the members of the Post. I have been for,
Thank you for recognizing me.
and I am retired Army.
Well, you know more about the thing than I do.
I did share this on Facebook, and I will be honest, out of probably 40 to 50 responses that I had, you know, people commenting on my post, had one negative comment was all. So I am all for this, and every place I've ever been where they have these Legion posts, VFWs, it's a good drawing point, and all veterans are very appreciative of having those here.
Well, going through this process of learning myself, there's a lot of these tank tanks, the specific model throughout our state. If you draw a 50-mile circle around where we are, there's probably 3 or 4 going up by Union Grove and Line. Again, we'd like to keep it in our county, and that's why we're doing it. And the county has asked us to make sure the city's okay with it. We really do have a thumb in this. We can say no, and it probably wouldn't bode well for us. Not that we wouldn't get it, but I mean, we do want to be that good neighbor. It's your post here in Elkhorn that wants to do it, and with your support, it carries a lot of weight when we go back to the Parks and Rec Committee. So if that's the consensus. I mean, I do appreciate the support you could give us. And then someday we'll find a new location, move out of your third floor story. It works.
It might be sooner or later if we get the new building.
Anyway.
When is it going to be heard by the county board?
They're gonna, my understanding is we're gonna bring it up and do a special meeting versus pushing this off until the latter part of January. We've asked, and we're not on a short timeline, but we want to move it when the ground is hardest. And when it freezes and we don't want to damage and have to spend a lot of time repairing the grass and whatnot. We've got some blankets that are being put down to keep the frost under that area that will go, I'm hoping that it does work. The worst that's going to happen is we pull those blankets up and then we let that ground freeze with it. But we've got the community is supporting us and giving us concrete, or most of it, and moving it for us. Now, we're going to incur all costs with it, but our cost right now is basically half of the concrete that is going to be poured for it. We've got someone to dig the site, we've got someone to move that tank, we've got welders coming in, because the tank, unfortunately, is not filled with concrete, but the hatches will be taken off, the brakes will be released. Once we get in the location, all that stuff gets welded back again, and it's just a tank that sits there. It doesn't move, it doesn't. We've got our insurance involved with it. We're going to have insurance for liability. We're not going to encourage people to climb on it, but if we don't have to put a 2-foot high fence around it, I can't think of a better memorial that someone that may have been in the Army or served in a tank corps being able to bring their children or their grandchildren, great-grandchildren, to be able to stand and it's gotta be pretty tall to get up on those tracks anyway, but.
So again, what is the day you're going to be in front of the county board?
They didn't give us a firm date. They said they were gonna do a poll of their members and not have to wait till the January meeting.
Okay, well, I will make a motion that the mayor drafts a letter of support for the piece of equipment to be transferred from Whitewater down to the county, Veterans Park behind the government center.
Okay. Do we have a second to that?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Discussion? Hearing none. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Would you write that down? I'll just sign it. Would you please?
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. Thanks for coming and sharing it with us instead of just. Also, I have. I'm going away in January, so Jim was looking under. So for January, our council president, if there's something that has to be signed, he will sign it. Scott?
Okay.
Well, I just wanted to let everybody know. January doesn't really usually have a lot of stuff, but just I just wanted to make sure that was taken care of.
So January to April, we have no mayor?
I'll be here gone just January.
Oh, you're gonna be on vacation, you mean?
Just January.
Oh, I thought you meant like you were like in January. I thought you meant like you were done.
Well,
Anybody
no.
else get Was I the only one?
No. Next,
January, I'm gone. I'm like,
next year I plan on being gone January, February, March.
Was I the only one?
Let's see what happens.
I knew he was gonna be gone.
Well, yeah. All right. I'm like, wow, that's kind of abrupt. I will be here in January except the last week in January.
Okay. I say traditionally there's not a lot of stuff this summer.
But I'll sign whatever.
Okay.
Shut up.
And the last thing, did everybody else get the election inspectors or just me?
I saw it.
Okay. We need a motion to approve the appointment of the 2020-21 election inspectors. We have a second? We have a motion from Ron.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Liaisons, fire advisory, when's our next meeting?
January.
Okay. All right. Library?
I was out of town. I don't know if Lisa has anything to add. No? Okay, no report.
Okay. Rec?
The Sunset Pool individual memberships and family memberships are available for 2020. The gift certificates are available in person and are online. This promotion is designed for families to provide the gift of a pool membership during the holiday season. The Rec Department has multiple programs starting in January 2020 for adults and youth. Make sure to check out the fall/winter program guide and the city website. The next Parks and Rec Advisory Board will be on Wednesday, January 15th at 5:30 at the Rec Center.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Chamber?
You skipped Jim.
I skipped Jim.
No, I'm good.
You're good?
I'm going to wait, but I didn't.
All right.
Oh,
There
I
was
did,
no
didn't I?
chamber meeting this
Jeez.
month, and I think we talked about that at the last meeting, and I think everybody understands and knows why that happened. There's Santa on the Square from Friday from 5 to 7, and Saturday and Sunday from 1 to 3. Over 100 children last weekend.
Was it really?
Yeah.
Wow.
The question this year is, who is Mr. and Mrs. Santa Claus? They're local folks who graduated from Elkhorn High School and came back into town from the North Pole to spread Christmas cheer. And with this weekend being so close to Christmas, please get all your kids in to see Santa so we can bring them what they need on Christmas Eve.
Did you write that?
I did.
Oh.
The chamber collected over 1,000 pounds of food and several $100 cash for the food pantry as a result of the Christmas parade. Now, Chris wasn't there. The chamber staff and the chamber board members ran the parade flawlessly. And if you run into any of them, please let them know they did a great job.
Chris was there.
What's that?
Chris was there. Yep.
Well, she was up.
Up in with the judges.
Yeah.
Just saying.
I know. And she's doing well. She's easing back into things and looking forward to just getting through everything. So, the community Christmas meal is Christmas Day from 11:30 to 1. They're expecting to serve over 200 people. Please donate hats, mittens, scarves, socks, and any type of dessert. This meal serves those who may otherwise not have a hot meal for Christmas. Please drop off at the chamber by next week Monday. That's it.
Thank you. All right, I'll give you your double dip here, Jim. Fire EMS Advisory Board and any other reports you had here.
I had no other reports. I mean, it was all right to pass me over.
Okay. When's our next Fire EMS Advisory?
Will it be one in January,
One
third,
January.
third Thursday?
Okay.
That's a regular meeting too.
Unfinished business, ordinance number 19-08 to amend chapter 13 regarding sump pumps, second reading. Do we have a motion to approve?
I move we approve the new sump pump ordinance.
Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next, we have presentation of City Hall design.
Hopefully not to need Carl again. I'm glad he's still here. Good evening. We've been working quite regularly with Carrie and Jim and the staff to come up with a plan for the new city hall. As you recall, the selected site is down in the business park at the north end of Seymour Court. Our plan is to access the site as you drive on Seymour Court, going past the Cleveland Little Learners and the Godfrey Law Firm building. You'll be entering just before you get to the cul-de-sac into the driveway that will take you into the parking lot, which will be located on the east side of the building. The building will be an L shape, and there will be a sign, monument sign out by the road identifying the building. We had talked at one time about doing an electronic message sign, but our thought was that by the time anyone comes to that location, they're going to be coming to City Hall anyway, so we don't need to have an electronic message component to that, which would save substantial dollars. The site is set up so that there is the opportunity for some overflow parking on the south end of the parking lot. We're planning on using a geoblock pervious paver so that grass will grow up through it, but it still will support car traffic on occasion. And typically that would be for elections or large meetings that may occur. The area to the north of the site is still vacant. That's all part of the same parcel which the city owns. The area to the south is presently being filled and graded with some material that was left over from other projects. We are in the process, and it's later on the agenda, to get some soil borings in that area so we know just what the condition of that fill is. However, the project is not going to impact that area at all, so the city doesn't have to do anything with that part of the site at this time. That can be something that as a future project, if that portion of the site needs to be developed or sold off. There will be some parking in the front here at the main entry of the building. There will be an employee entrance and a main entrance and then a public works entrance, and the opportunity for ample stalls for the physically disabled or elderly could be near those sidewalk access points. We are also talking about having up to 3 flags right in this center area, the U.S. flag, state flag, and the city flag. As I mentioned, the parking area will be here. There'll be sidewalks leading up to the entrance here, and then the main entrance in the center. We've also planned for access for the drop box for the utility payments, tax payments, and that will be something that will be a pass through the wall, much like a night deposit at a bank, so that the staff doesn't have to go outside of the building to collect those payments from the receptacle. The main vestibule will have a direct access to a waiting area for the public works. The purpose for that is if a contractor comes in with muddy boots, he's not going to be tracking that through the main lobby. He can go directly into a waiting area and wait for assistance there. As you come through the main vestibule, there'll be a lobby here, generous size with some kiosks and other furniture, chairs, workstations, benches so that people can stand up and fill out forms, or if someone is in a wheelchair, they'll be able to have a lower height desk for them to write on. There'll be 3 reception windows, 2 set up very similar to what you have now here at City Hall. A third one around the corner so that if a customer or a resident needs to have some special attention or a little more private attention from a staff member or one of the customer clerks, they'd be able to do that. This whole area will be secure. There is a spot over here for some mailboxes so that the council and mayor will be able to pick up their mail without having to come all the way into the administration area. Those mailboxes will be set up with a code that you'll have your own unique number to get into the doors for that pickup. The committee meeting room will be here, and it's adjacent to the council chambers. So one of the unique features is we're planning on an operable partition between the two, so that normally that operable partition will be closed for probably 95 out of 100 meetings. And then if you do have a large crowd, those panels can open up, and you do have the ability to seat about 130 to 140 people in the audience. There's a storage room off to the side where stackable chairs would be placed. The committee meeting table would be sectional, so that it could be folded up and stored off to the side when those chairs would be set up. There are a couple of rows of chairs for an audience for the committee meeting room, committee meetings. There's also mainly a glass partition here. It would be up about 3 feet and then glass up to the ceiling, so that if someone's coming in, you'd be able to look all the way through into the council chambers when that wall is open. The chambers themselves, we've got the council table. We have the mayor, city clerk, and city attorney at the center portions, aldermen and the junior council members on the 2 sides, and then staff on the sides beyond that. A desk and a podium here for presentations, and then there's also access to a break room off to the side. Kerry is planning on having smaller elections in this building, and so our thought was that the poll workers would have access to that break area. There's also, they would also be able to have access through another door to a staff toilet that's right around the corner here. In the administration area, it's primarily open offices in the center. We did meet with the same representative of the workstation company that worked with the city on the Public Works building. So they're going to be looking at some furniture layouts and coming back with suggestions for that. But right now it's set up for the 2 counter clerks, customer clerks, and then this is the utility billing clerk. There's 4 workstations for future growth, and also more than likely the IT person may take one of those. There's also a series of private offices on what is the west side of the building, which faces Seymour Court. There's also a larger vault. Presently, there's 2 separate storage rooms that you have, so this will combine all of those types of records into one area. It will be a fire-rated room, but it won't be a true vault like you have at the lowest area. So we will have a fire-rated door and fire-rated construction around it. Carrie's office is here in the far northwest corner. Adjacent to her office is a storage room for all the election equipment and forms. And there's also going to be some fireproof files that the city currently has that will be moved in there. There'll be a conference room adjacent to that, and then Jim's office will be on the other side. There's an employee entrance that's going to have some shelves and areas where they can hang their coats, store their boots, things like that. The IT room will be here, and then a supply and work room area, and then the AP and payroll workstation will be there. All of the offices that you see here will have glass in the walls so that each of those individuals will be able to keep an eye on the front counter. And if someone needs some assistance and the customer clerks are either at lunch or have stepped away, they'll be able to respond. On the other side of the building, as I mentioned, there's that direct access from the vestibule into the Public Works waiting area. There is a service window there, so that Sherry will be at her workstation here. She'll be able to buzz people in for meetings with either Matt or Joe and we've also included some layouts of some of the existing equipment that may very well move over from the room right below us here. There's an office for Matt and Bonnie and then Joe. There's also a separate conference room here, and then the mayor's office adjacent to it, which will have a direct access right off the main lobby. Coming down the hallway, there's public toilets for men and women and a generous-sized janitor closet. In the back, there's a large storage room, and all of the storage shelves that are upstairs in the old auditorium are shown right in this area. There's 19 of them, and that's the layout. So about half of that space is going to be taken up by what you have now. This will also serve as plan storage and archives that the Public Works and Building and Zoning are needing. And in the mechanical room in the back, there's also a driveway for deliveries and servicing and a dumpster enclosure in this location. Forgot to mention the patio off the break room. It'll be on the west side of the building, so it should get some nice sun exposure. Any questions?
Anything anybody doesn't like or wants to comment about? Or
In relation to this room, these council chambers are how much, I'm assuming they're bigger.
Yes, they're about 50% bigger than what you have now. It may even be a little more. I think it's about 16 or 1,700 square feet, and you have about 1,000 square feet here.
Okay.
How big is the main vestibule when you first come in from outside? How big is that? Like when you first walk in from like the street,
Right.
the main entrance.
I believe that is about 250 square feet, something like that. And again, there's a door directly into the waiting area. There's also a window from the customer clerks area, so they'll be able to see who's coming in the front door. And part of the complaints or criticisms that we always hear about vestibules is, what good is a vestibule when you walk in the one door and by the time that door shuts, you're already opening the second door? So we wanted to make sure that we had a little more space in between here. This could also be a secure door, so that if you've got after hours or early hours like contractors would have, they'd be able to still access that Public Works location. And as I mentioned, that's a window. It could be developed into a service window or a drop slot or something like that.
Again, I'm no architect. I'm just trying to make an observation. If they open the one door and they go straight ahead to the second door, what's with all the extra space on either side of the door?
Again, you mean in these two areas here?
Like where you come in from outside,
Yes.
and you come in the brown door into all that gray area, you're really just going to go straight ahead, right? So why do we need all this extra space on both sides?
Well, there could be some displays, there could be literature there could be forms, there could be a number of things. Again, the door going directly into the Public Works is on the side there.
Right.
So that would connect that. We could look at reducing that a little bit if that was a concern.
It just seems like I'd rather use that space to make, I don't know, like I said, use this room as an example. That's the front door. Is this whole room a vestibule?
No,
Half this room?
no,
Okay.
no, about a quarter.
Oh, okay. It looks way bigger. When you think all you're doing is walking through one door and going into the next one, it's like, what's with all the extra gray space?
Well, from here to here, the vestibule doors to there, 20 feet, and this is about 12 feet.
Okay.
So
Just looks, I guess it just looks bigger.
And the depth of a vestibule has to be at least 8 feet, Because we're planning on using 3'6" wide doors, just to have ample space to come through. And you have to have at least 4 feet beyond the open edge of the door in order to meet ADA.
Okay.
We're also planning on having automatic door operators, at least on one set of them, so again, for the handicap, for them to come through.
Right.
And so that'll give us an opportunity to locate that inner button for the activation of the inside door.
I noticed in the parking that the back row didn't have the green space for every 8 stalls. Is that not needed in the back row?
That's one of the things that we're going to request that the plan commission allow us to modify.
So that would be a variance from the normal approach. Got it. And then can you talk a little bit about AV and when people want to make presentations such as you're doing tonight?
Sure. What we're planning on, there is a room here for audiovisual equipment. We're looking at having a concealed screen above the ceiling in this location here and in this location here. There will also be space here for perhaps a flat screen TV above the openings coming in from the lobby so that the council members here could see those 2 displays and the audience could see these 2 displays. Also, the council table will all be wired so that you'd be able to see the display through your laptop as well. And all the recording equipment would be in that AV room. And there will more than likely be some camera locations, so if you ever want to look at broadcasting, I mentioned this before, we've seen where there's even 5-minute timers for the public comment period on each end, so that you can watch that too.
Won't have to use the phone anymore?
So what's the total square footage of the whole building?
About 13,500.
I'm trying to remember from the last couple times we talked about this. Did we get an updated or upgraded estimate on what the price would be?
Yes, I don't know if Jim shared that with you, but we updated the budget based on this plan with the site work, and we have some allowances for the AV systems and things like that. Do you want to speak to that?
It's budgeted at, excuse me, 4.5 million, and with a built-in contingency right now, we're right at that number. I upgraded the contingency 2% since I got here in 2014. Soil borings always come out clean, and within the first month, we're doing a big change order because we found a bunch of wet soil. So we're going to try to cover that contingency. We haven't done the soil borings yet, but I don't think there's really a lot of dry places in Elkhorn. We get kind of high water tables. The area we're in wouldn't be seen as although it's a little bit higher, but we're out there near the Proctor farm and then across the street from where Love's is. So history would say that there's going to need to be some type of excavating there, probably a little more than normal. But we don't know that. We'll get there with the soil borings and the contingency. If we don't use it, which is always the plan, then it's just goes into the debt service to pay for the building. So.
Anybody else? Well, thank you for your progress and your report, Bill.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, next thing on the agenda is GM Displays Fireworks Display Agreement and multiple year agreement extension. I see they want.
Can I just ask?
Sure.
Is the council ready to approve this design? Are you okay with it? That would allow Bill to move forward with the project. But we didn't want to do anything until you at least this design.
No, appreciate that. Otherwise, it just costs us more money.
Well,
Yeah.
I don't know if you were ready to approve this design.
If we need to. Sure.
Well,
To make Bill's job easier, he can progress.
But what Jim and I had discussed is if you could authorize us to move into the actual construction documents, the plans, specifications, bidding documents, and then put those out on the street for bids. That's going to be happening March or April, and then get you in a position to award a contract in April at the latest and start construction in May.
we need a motion to move forward with the plans?
I guess I'd just like a consensus.
And I would just like to say, though, Scott has been fighting for this for 8 years. I would think it would be appropriate to have Scott make the first motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the plan and move forward.
And I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second discussion.
I just have I have a comment, question, whatever. The way the parking lot is designed, I'm not familiar with that, where you put the blocks together and the grass can grow in between the blocks, but you can still drive on it. Does that impact us for plowing or anything, nothing?
And it's just on the area that's on the far south side. It's just this area right here. All the rest is blacktop, just like a standard parking lot.
Okay.
It's just this little area right here to give you about another 14 stalls.
Okay.
And you wouldn't have to plow it unless you had a February election.
Right.
So you can just.
But it's cheaper than asphalt, is why we're doing. Okay. I figured there was a reason we're doing these geo blocks versus asphalt. Okay.
Well, it also reduces all the runoff and all that.
Okay.
Good
Fair enough.
green stuff.
All right.
Anybody else? Roll call, please.
Scott McClory,
Yes.
Tom Myrene,
Yes.
Ron Dunwoody,
Yes.
Frank Boggs,
Yes.
Tim Sharota,
Yes.
Carol Young.
Yes.
All right, now we have some offers back from J&M Display for fireworks agreement and multiple year agreement extension. I see was what, 11,000 something a year? 11,000, it was just a little over 11, wasn't it? They wanted?
11,865 for the first year.
So, yeah, 11,800. So,
What did we sign last year? Wasn't it change? Change? I don't remember. Do you remember?
I don't.
it got close to that, I think it got close to that 11 because we had that
Yeah.
up it a little bit.
Yeah, I thought it was like 10 and.
Yeah, like 10, 800 or something.
10, 9? I don't know.
Yeah, it's probably about $800, $900 more.
Right. And of course, we get to talk about the whole prepayment bonus product in this fireworks display, which still nobody understands, so.
There aren't a whole lot of companies that do this, unfortunately. We're getting a lot of bids, so how would council like to proceed?
And again, I want to be clear, I personally don't have a preference, but I know that the last time we discussed this, in deference to Chris and the chamber, I thought, and maybe Tom can correct me if I'm misstating this, but I thought the chamber was pretty adamant about wanting to stick to the last Friday in June as that's always been. Is that not a big deal? Because this says July 3rd.
That is Friday.
The last Friday in June?
Or the Friday
No, the last Friday in June is July 3rd.
It's not the last Friday in June, it's the Friday before the 4th.
Is that what they wanted? Or is it
Yeah,
always
right.
the Friday? Okay.
That's what we got.
It's just the last few years, I guess, it's been.
I know it's fine.
Well, Chris was pretty adamant that people have been complaining to her, and she says, I keep telling everybody it's up to the city. I don't think
I don't care either way.
Chris had a huge,
No.
she was fine with the Friday. I don't think she had a huge preference, because she told me whatever the city wants to do with it, she will work around it and just be thankful that we have fireworks. That was
Whatever
Chris's.
Friday is before the 4th, which over the last several years has happened to just by coincidence be June.
Correct.
Okay, so it was, okay, I guess I'm getting my wires crossed. I thought it was the last Friday in June, which is just coincidence then. Okay,
And usually the only time people complain is when we have that one big gap, that 1 year every, 6, 7 years? That's when you hear people complain, and the rest of the time, you never hear anybody complain. So,
does anybody know about I know that like Fontana always does it on the 4th, no matter what. Whatever day July 4th is, that's when Fontana does theirs on the barge. Are there a whole bunch of other municipalities doing it on the 3rd? Where we're going to be competing for people's interest?
Town of Delavan usually does it, City of Delavan always does it on the 4th.
Okay, so.
So I believe just the town of Delavan and maybe Lauderdale Lakes.
Okay.
So do we have a motion to approve?
Well, just so we're clear, Mayor, you're
Okay.
approving two different agreements here.
Okay.
I want it to be clear for the council. You're approving the one-year contract to do it at this rate with these products, and all the attachments really kind of go with that. In addition to the free things that you are, or discounts or whatever you want to call it for the additional fireworks, You're also getting some that are not contractual, that they're just offering. And then you're also approving a multi-year agreement. And I wanted to point out one thing in the multi-year agreement, and that is numbered paragraph 4 in the multi-year one. Just so council is clear, this is a 3-year obligation. You can get out of it, but if you, it says if you're in no way obligated to purchase fireworks from the seller for any of the years covered by this agreement. However, if you elect not to go with this company and purchase in those years, you can't have any fireworks. Just so we're clear.
Oh, thank you.
Well, that's their standard contract with all the communities they serve. Just because you want 3 years and you want to lock in your date, okay, in
So
return,
do we need 2 motions?
you know, I mean, we've had no issues with this company.
In a single motion,
Okay.
unless somebody asks for it to be
I
seconded.
don't think they're gonna do anything underhand with all these communities that they have. I mean, they're pretty much locked and loaded. If we would lose this date, we wouldn't get it back, I don't think, so, you know, as the city attorney said, I guess one thing is, you know, they raised the rate really high for Lord knows what reason. I can't say what the odds are that would happen, but I can't imagine it.
And I don't want anybody to have the impression I'm saying this is a bad contract. This seems like a very favorable contract, and all the language to protect the city is stronger than I would have expected. So, just saying, you need to know that one point.
Okay, well, I appreciate that, Ward, thank you. So, do we have a motion to approve the contract and the 2-year extension?
So moved.
We have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Tom Irene,
Yes.
Carol Young,
Yes.
Ron Dunwoody,
Yes.
Frank Boggs,
Yes.
Scott McClory,
Yes.
Tim Sharota.
Yes.
All right, then we have soil boring proposals for the city for Seymour Court for City Hall. I see there's, 4? Must have 4 bids back?
I believe we got 5, and as it turned out, Intertech, the low bidder, also is the only one that went down to the depth that we wanted. All the others had lower depths and higher prices. So I asked Bill, and he said he's worked with them before. They're a good company. So I saw no reason to go anywhere but the low bid.
You agree with that, Matt? You heard of them, or Intertech, you heard of them? Okay, that was 3,000, how much?
$80.
3,080. Do we have a motion to approve a contract with Intertech for $3,080 for soil borings?
So moved.
We have a second?
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Discussion? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Ron Dunwoody,
Yes.
Carol Young,
Yes.
Tim Sharota,
Yes.
Tom Irene,
Yes.
Frank Boggs,
Yes.
Scott McClory.
Yes.
Thank you. Want to take this one, Matt? Public Works Facility Change Order, number 5?
Yeah. I put together a memo what's in the packet, so we have change order number 5 for our DPW facility. The total cost, we considered the additional fee of $5,200 for additional gas piping required for multiple heating units. They just weren't shown in the plans, they weren't reflected in the architectural drawings. And you deduct the bills that the city paid that they should be back, and what they should be back, it's a total of $2,788.52. There was a contractual allowance in the contract, plus the reimbursed utility costs. When you consider those two, we actually have an allowance balance of $8,651.06. So that'll be the next change order we see, would be that allowance balance coming back. So, and I also provided kind of a construction cost summary that's shown below with the bid construction, the base bid, and then it shows the change orders to date, including the change order number 5 beyond the $45,000 contractual allowance that was built in.
So how much we asking for a change right now, then total?
It's a $5,200 change, but when you consider the deducted utility bill, it's $2,788.53.
2,700. Do we have a motion to approve that, or do you have more questions of Matt? Do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
We have a second? We have a motion.
I'll second.
Okay, Ron's, okay. Tim? Who did it? One of you did it. Okay, Tim did it. All right, we have a motion and a second for a change order. Discussion? Roll call, please.
Frank Boggs.
Yes.
Tim Sharota.
Yes.
Tom Myrene.
Yes.
Scott McClory.
Yes.
Ron Dunwoody.
Yes.
Carol Young.
Yes.
Next, we have sanitary sewer basin number 3, response to WDNR on notice of non-compliance.
I'll take that one too. Back in actually January of this year, we had a committee of the whole meeting where we discussed the notice of non-compliance we received from the DNR. There was 2 sanitary sewer overflows within the same basin where they issued one, and the response to that was to prepare a CCAP study. It was broken into 3 phases, and I described the 3 phases within the memo that's within the packet. The first phase was authorized by the council in February, which followed the committee of the whole meeting. We selected Strand to do that phase 1 study. We had already, we were using them at that time to look at the Nettersheim lift station study, so we kind of needed to respond quickly with the NON, so Strand was selected because we kind of had them working on our system already. Since then, obviously, we went through the I&I mitigation selection process. Applied Technologies was selected for that. So in consideration of the perceived conflict of interest with Welcomet, and also understanding that we're currently using Applied Technologies to do our full-blown I&I mitigation plan throughout the city, it seems that it makes sense to probably move forward with one firm to get them used to us and us used to them. They submitted a proposal to complete phase 2 and phase 3. That cost is shown on the memo, $49,750. I spoke with Applied about having us work with them closely and actually doing some of the inspection with our engineering technician position. And they said that if we did that it could reduce the fee by roughly 30%. So.
Okay. So what would our actual motion, if we accept this, what would our actual motion be tonight?
The contract that they're proposing is based on its actual time and material. So they just looked at the number of manholes within the system, multiplied it by, I think they had $1 or $45 a manhole, and they came up with this figure. But it's based on what it actually takes to do the inspection. So I mean, if you went into a contract not to exceed $49,750,
That would work.
Mm-hmm. And then if it gets for something that the council's comfortable with, then we can always come back.
Okay.
If it gets.
That's why I was curious. I wasn't sure how the motion should be worded.
You're authorizing execution of phases 2 and 3.
That's all we need to say. We don't need to say the money.
You can say that at that cost, that anticipated cost.
It's anticipated, yeah.
Okay. Would anybody care to make a motion?
I'll make that motion that go ahead with phase 2 and 3 with Applied Technologies at an estimated cost not to exceed $49,750.
Thank you. Do we have a second to that?
I'll second it.
Okay. Roll call, please.
Ron Dunwoody.
Yes.
Frank Boggs.
Yes.
Carol Young.
Yes.
Scott McClory.
Yes.
Tom Myrene.
Yes.
Tim Sharota.
Yes.
Next, we have resolution number 19-15, municipal court bond schedule. I don't really, is that just a housekeeping thing we have to do every so many years, or I really don't understand what that is. Can you speak to us, James?
Next time I he's going to bring some kind of artillery and maybe you move me to the front. The bond schedule is set by the municipal court with the approval of the governing body. And when we talk about a bond schedule, the bond is the amount that's written on a ticket that the police issued to somebody who's given a citation in the city. The bond, some penalties are set by statute for such as traffic, but other penalties are set by you folks. And the judge is supposed to set the bond schedule, which is how much within that penalty range we want listed on the ticket. That the police officers would then have the discretion to either make them pay or book them until they pay it. But really, in practice, I don't think we book many people. We release most people on a signature. But if they don't show up, that bond schedule
or that ticket amount, the bond listed on the ticket ends up being the default penalty. So that's why it's important to consider this every now and again and reflect, I suppose, the community standards of what we're concerned with. The changes that I've proposed, I haven't been here to do this since I became judge in 15, so the only things that have changed since then on the schedule are really the tobacco-related offenses. And if you talk to the chief or anyone related to the schools, you probably hear about the vaping concerns that we have. They tell you that the juvenile court docket is just filled with vapors. People give the vapors, sell the vapors. It's pretty wild. So this is at least an attempt to try to address that head on. I'm asking you to consider those changes to the schedule and approve the whole thing, because I think we should probably do that more often.
Oh, all right. And I was, this makes sense to you?
Yes.
Okay. Anybody have questions? I'm just curious. It doesn't make any sense to me. I'm just a little confused on it. So.
I have one question. The offense code 9.02, possession or discharge of a firearm within the city limits. My concern is twofold. One, somebody discharges a firearm, I would hope that we would never consider issuing them a ticket for $300 for discharging a gun in the city limits, number one. And only a couple of these say refer to DA, and this one does not. It would take, I mean, I could do it 3 or 4 times, and I'm still looking at a $1,000 fine for shooting a gun in the city limits. That seems ridiculous to me. A couple of these say refer to DA, and that one does not. The second problem I have with it is possession of a firearm. We're an open carry state. It's not illegal to possess a firearm and have it in your possession.
I didn't write these laws.
I understand that, but it says you said you want us to bless it in their entirety, and I have strong issues with 902.
So which section, first of all, for the latter, Scott, what is that?
It says offense code 9.02, possession or discharge firearm, and then it has a monetary amount of $313, $565, $1,069 for first, second, third, fourth offense.
So are they the same?
I don't know.
No, I'm asking you, the two that you were referencing, is it the same?
Yeah, that's the one. That's the same code. Possession or discharge firearm.
Okay.
So,
I think the only thing you may want to take into consideration, there are still, first of all, in regards to discharging, we still do have some rather rural areas where people may be confused on whether they're actually in the city or out of the city. And so for like hunting purposes or whatever else, they may not be allowed to hunt there, but may not realize that they're actually in the city. So that, I think that's maybe why it'd still be on the book, so to speak. As well as there still are areas where you cannot possess a gun, such as like what happens if sometimes is a juvenile may bring a firearm onto school grounds where he cannot even possess it,
right?
Even though forgetting he left it in the car. This would still have an opportunity to then write a ticket for something maybe that was mistakenly left in the back of a truck, locked and secure and not even loaded, but
right.
This at least gives you.
I'm not opposed to the interpretation of the code and the discretion that your officers have. I'm just concerned that literally firing a gun 4 times, I'm still not being referred to the DA's office. I'm looking at a $1,000 fine.
That doesn't mean that's how we're going to handle the matter. Right. This just gives us another tool on our belt. I guess is another option.
So a couple here that say refer to DA are ministerial. They're statutorily driven, like the possession of marijuana.
Correct.
Okay. All right. What's the other question?
An officer may just make that decision for any of these that could be a ticket and could also be referred at officer's discretion to court.
Right. Like I said, there's only 2 of them I see that say in the box under what the citation amount is refer to DA. I think those are both related to possession of marijuana. I didn't see that anywhere else. So
Because typically you charge it if it's a second, you get a second time with possession of THC in the city of Elkhorn, you typically turn that over to as a criminal charge, correct?
Correct. And that's in concert with the statute, so I'm good with that. Like I said, it just seemed odd to me that, possession or discharge was just you're looking at a $300 fine.
Or a fifth offense, possession of THC is referred to Illinois.
It'll be legal there in a month anyway, so who cares? Should have stuck with your first one. That was all I had questions I had.
So do we have a motion to approve Resolution 19-15 as listed?
I'll make that motion.
Do we have a second? We have a motion and a second. Discussion? Hearing none. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right, we will adjourn into closed session for possible sale of city property.
And we will reconvene into open session.
Do we have a motion to go into closed session?
I'll make
Have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.